Welcome back, mi gente. Lleve, lleve. This is Hecho at the market. Today we have a special guest, and his name is Alex from Auto Holistic. Hey, Alex, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited. This has been a long, long time coming.
Awesome, awesome. And actually, today we're going to start, as you know, we start a podcast, and we're going to talk about the products first, then we're going to get into the market history of and everything that you do to go to the market. Because that's, mainly what we want to do here is just have our listeners be part, and if they want to start, coming to a market so they can actually do that. So let's start first. What inspired you to have this business? Like, was it like, what do you choose to do this product?
My background's in clinical nutrition. So, I studied clinical nutrition at the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine. But before that, I went to UTSA straight out of high school. Graduated from Otwin and then went off to UTSA. Started studying kinesiology, which is pretty much a pre-step before physical therapy. So, I wasn't even into nutrition yet. But I was a personal trainer at Anytime Fitness. That's when my entrepreneurial spirit started coming out, like trying to get, they just said, yeah, you could pay rent, just get your own clients. And so then that's when I was like, okay, then I started building Aero Fitness. That's where Aero Fitness came out of. So then I started doing my clients, and that's when I started realizing that I like to go above and beyond just training. So I started taking nutritional courses, started
Hmm.
meal prepping for my clients, the normal thing that usual trainers like to do, meal prep. And it wasn't like I wasn't like I always say this all the time, but I wasn't a bad trader. But my clients, they were like, I feel tired. I'm so tired. I'm working. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm like, how can I make it better for them? I can't, I can tell them what supplements to take. I could tell them what herbs to take or what to do,
Hmm.
recovery. But then um, actually, I could say he's even one of the co-founders to the idea. But my roommate at the time, he was really into this doctor called Dr. Sebi, which a lot of people in naturopathy and herbalism know. But he was like, "Hey man, why don't you start juicing? Start juicing for your clients, see how they feel." And I was like, "Yeah, let's buy a juicer." So me and my roommate bought a juicer, started juicing ourselves, and they're basic juices, right? Pure beets, pure pineapple. And once I made that juice and started giving it in the meal preps, I started seeing a significant change in health in my clients. And that's when I was like, you know what, let's sell these on campus. So actually, I posted a picture on my Instagram of me on 2017 and
Yeah.
UTSA. And what I'm doing now, where I take pictures of people with the juice,
Yeah.
I used to do that even then. So
Okay.
like I have a picture of me with like some students and we're holding juices like hey, and that's where it started.
That's
So making juices for each person at a time, and that's kind of like the slogan I have. Each juice has a purpose because each juice has been made for somebody.
that's amazing. That's a super cool story. Like, cause, like you start like the way it started, right? It's not the normal at the garage, like like the big companies started, but you actually had a purpose. And the best thing what I've heard is you kept the purpose of your business, even though it was you started in something different, but you still kept the purpose. And that's amazing. And congratulations for being able to make that move and move forward with it.
Thank you.
Um, so was this like is this your like dream business, or is this more like a side hustle? Like, what do you consider it?
So one thing I think when I have a lot of conversations with other um, people that own businesses, there's two types. There's one type that has a 9 to 5 job and they do a side hustle. I I come through a lot of those who have who create that business that way. But me, this is 100% of my time. Um, I went full force with this because I'm not a good multitasker. And that's just me. I can't multitask. I can't do a 9 to 5 and then be like, oh, after work, I'm gonna go do this. I needs to be 100% this at 10 times the speed every single day. And because I've realized that, I've little by little started detaching myself from I need a job. I need a job. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna spend that time, waking up early, complaining why I gotta go to work, like structuring my time to make that money. Well, I could fail at that too. Why not try it, doing something for myself, putting that time for myself and going all the way. And yeah, it's gonna hurt. It might be difficult. It might be the good times are gonna be good. The bad times might be bad. But at least I know that I have the responsibility, right? So that being said, like it's 100% me. I and I honestly the first years I was a little bit like stressed out about it because you don't know no one even if you take all the business classes you're still not ready to have a business
Mm-hmm.
until you go through it, and each year is different, each day is different, you know. And so but I've gotten to the point where not only am I enjoying it, but I'm able to now bloom like a flower with my artistry. And so for a long time I did two things. So not only was I studying clinical nutrition. I was living in San Diego working with a practitioner, but I also produced and DJ'd for 15 years.
Wow.
And yeah, I kind of keep it away from this business, but it's starting to merge, as you can see with all the art and
Yeah.
also the music I choose and everything. So I produced and DJ'd in LA for about 6 years, and before that, that's all I did as well.
That's pretty cool.
Um, yeah, and I have like an account where it has like 15K followers, and I was 100% in the studio. All I did was do that. It's because LA is different. They
Yeah.
they actually pay big time DJs. Like they pay you to survive, like 200 a show, and you only pay for an hour. So, and it could be any, because everywhere there's music everywhere, every day, every
Yeah.
minute, every night, and so it was easier to get gigs and paid gigs. So, but when I was always doing this too, and those two worlds just had not been able to collide because one's in the night, one's like health, and so it was also, this also coincides with my evolution as like a human, and so
Mm-hmm.
now it's fully this, but the music will come back to the shop when it's ready, and we will have events and things, and it'll be like a juice fest or something, but we'll.
That's pretty cool. That's a great idea, right? That's just a call out. But I just wanted like to show real quick what he's referring to. This is the inspiration and actually his logo right now. Right, it's like your mascot, I
It's like a
guess.
mascot.
So this is
Yeah.
the mascot, and actually we have the live mascot here
Yeah.
at the table. But this is what he's referring to. Just wanted to show it there because it is pretty interesting the way you really depict on this mascot your business, right? So we talk about auto holistic and where auto comes from, but what does it mean? Like, what's the meaning of auto holistic?
So so Arrow's my initials,
Okay.
Alex Rene Ornelas.
Mm,
But the reason that I have kept it, the reason I have kept Arrow as everything I've done, I've been DJ Arrow, just Arrow as as the producer Arrow. My stuff's on Spotify, but I won't plug that in. This is about Arrow Holistics, but on Spotify and all that, I'm Arrow. And then also when I started the training, it was Arrow Fitness, and then Arrow Nutrition, and now it's Arrow Holistics because now it's a whole, everything as a whole, right? And also what I've studied and what I am now. But Arrow, I wanted to keep my dad's name as the business. So I lost my father in 2018 to a heart attack.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, thank you. But I know people say I'm sorry, but honestly, I can never have asked for like he was everything to me, like my best friend, everything. But I wanted to honor his name, and instead of saying Ornelas, nutrition, I didn't like the ring of that. So
Yeah.
Arrow is mainly because I always, when things are tough, I like to remember why I'm doing things. And the reason why I started and why I won't stop is because of him. So Arrow signifies that this goes deeper than
Yeah.
just like, oh, I want people to drink this juice. No, this is something for him and for my family, like for the name, really. And holistics was because now holistics is everything as a whole, from mind, body, spirit, from around you, in you, your eyes, your ears, your taste, your smell, everything combined is accounted for when you come into the shop. And when you walk into the shop, you were there the other day, it's like art, music,
Yeah.
herbs, mushrooms, juice, like taste this or take this, and that's what it is. We are art. So like giving that to others.
And definitely it has the vibe. Like when you walk into the shop, you feel the vibe of the holistic vibe, right? It's
Yeah.
it's there. And it's pretty amazing that you can bring that not only at the shop, but also to the markets when you bring your product. So that's an amazing step. But going a little bit back into into your business, You mentioned why you started juicing, and before we get into details, you explain us to you what juicing is and what is this products that we have here. We want to know like what's like the solution. What is this juicing fixing for people or for the community?
Right. So, number one, if you've ever juiced in your life, you know how difficult and annoying it is today in today's um, world, I guess you could say, with so many distractions and going at 1,000 miles per hour. Um, it's even hard for people to meal prep, and so that's why people would like convenience and they like
Mm-hmm.
it to be easy. Now, that being said, how many products on the shelf are actually looking out for you? How many products are actually using the highest quality produce, the highest quality herbs? How many people are educating you on their products? And then you find out later that they're made in a third party like warehouse and like, you know? And so for me, it goes a little bit, again, it's more holistic. So for me, I want an easy, convenient, nutrient dense, locally produced drink that when you chug it, your body appreciates it. And so I want it to be an easy way to get your nutrition. Like 80% of my clients hate fruits and vegetables. I would even say maybe 100. And so when they drink a juice,
I'm one
uh,
of
it's
them.
like it's like pounding down vitamins and minerals and nutrients that you otherwise wouldn't have ate in your daily, you know, nutritional diet. So also, I like to also encourage habit change, and this is an easy way, especially if it looks this pretty, to just be like oh, and then later down the road, you realize like wow, I feel good and I wonder why, you know? And so I like to create habit change. And also, my juices, they look pretty and stuff like this, but to be honest, I do this not, yes, it helps sell the juice to look nice, but I also do it to create that conversation. So when you read it and you say, oh, spirulina, black pepper, kelp, what's kelp? Boom, I already know that you're interested. I already know that you're committed into learning. And I know that if I tell you what kelp is, even if you don't buy my juice, you're gonna go and know, you're gonna talk about it, you're gonna see it, you're gonna observe, and you're gonna be like, oh, kelp, that juice guy told me about that. And so for me, it's always been about education. So by me giving a juice, um, the initial part is getting you to grab it and taste it, but also to learn about it. And so for me, in the bigger picture, is to educate the community and to actually have them try stuff that they normally wouldn't, like bell pepper juice, like um, rainbow chard, like uh, mushrooms, sea moss. If I gave you some sea moss, I was like, here, try this. You'd be like, ugh, no. But if I put it in a juice, put a nice label on it, and then tell you it has sea moss, you're probably you're gonna taste it, and then after that,
Yeah.
you're like, hey, well, you know, I'm actually interested in trying that now by itself. So okay, come on, let me give you. So to me, it's improving people's health in the Paso community and getting produce and creating these juices that actually are not cheap to make because we don't grow that in our lands no more. All of the lands where I grew up in San Eli are all taken over by Amazon and all these things. And so there's only I can name all the farms and gardens in El Paso, and they're all slowly but surely leaving because the land is drying. And so I know I'm bringing something that is way ahead of its time,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm hoping to get people healthier, not just like my family anymore. It's like the community.
Amazing. And those are the stories, right? We want to hear here in this podcast. That's the reason we're doing this. That's the reason we bring the people so that we get to know the business, the person, the business behind the scenes, behind the label. And it's important to make that connection because when you're able to bring the community into your business the way you do it with your dreams, that's the difference, right? And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I tried this, and I tried it. We met at one of the markets with my business,
Yeah.
and that's right where we met. And actually, he was next to me, and he was like inviting me to hey, you wanna try? I'm like, oh no, thank you. I don't like
Yeah.
vegetables. I was one of those persons, but he's like, just try this one. I guarantee you're not gonna taste the vegetable. He even said, if you taste the vegetable, are you gonna be able to spit it out? And I won't get mad. I'm like, okay. So I tried it, and honestly, I got hooked. I that day I bought like 3 or 4 bottles just to take with me, and then I brought it to my house, and my wife tried it and she liked it, and then my sister-in-law, and then when she came, you came to the next market and we saw you there, she bought some for herself, and it's
Yeah.
just growing. So that's how I see Otto, right? And that's one of the reasons we wanted to invite you here, because we know that the product that you have, I've seen other juice products out there in the market that really they're not made with the care and the love that these juices have.
Oh, thank
And I
you.
can see that, and that's one of the reasons I want to see. But I want to know, with all this I'm sharing with you, right? Because probably you hear this over and over and over from customers. When was the moment you realized, like, wow, this business is really happening?
The business aspect of it. So when I came back to El Paso in 2023, after 10 years of the music,
Mm-hmm.
but I came back and I was like trying to find a job here for what I studied, which was clinical nutrition, nutritional therapy. Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found.
Wow.
I was like, it's because in Texas you need to be a registered dietitian, and with it's like a double-edged sword because I studied something that was passionate to me, which was holistic nutrition, not just Western medicine. And
Mm-hmm.
holistic nutrition also takes account of Western medicine, but Western medicine doesn't take account of alternative medicine. That's just the way it is. But because of my passion and my belief,
Mm-hmm.
it sets me apart in different states. So I couldn't find unless I was a registered dietitian, which is another 6 years. So then when I came back here home, I was broke, not broke, but I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be broke soon, and it was getting very scary. And I used to have clients here who I used to juice for when I lived here. That's
Mm-hmm.
how far back I've been making the juices, and I was like, oh, I know that, I know I'm good at that. I have my juicers still. Like, why don't I just say, hey, I'm back in town. Like, you guys want to buy some juices, and I'll make you a new fresh recipe for what you guys need. And there's a whole way that I actually make my recipes as well for each client. And it's very, very how a registered dietitian does for nutritional plans. But um, so then they said yes, and I started selling. And then my friend who I went to college with,
Mm-hmm.
he's back here and also has a business here. He's like, bro, make me juice, supporting me because he knows it's hard. And then he's like, hey, I'm gonna have an event. You should come sell your juice. And I was like, uh, I don't have permits. Can I actually do? He's like, dude, it's my shop. If I get a fine, I'll pay for it. Just come on, just sell your juice. They'll sell. And I was like, okay. So I went. I literally had a pen and paper. I had my iPad and a jug, and I was just there selling the juices, and sold out.
Wow.
And I sold out, and I made about $700 in 4 hours. Right. Um, those were the good times when I didn't have overhead. But that's when I was like, oh my god, dude, I just made $700, and I was like, and just my brain and the way that I think and my motivation, and I wasn't kind of in a tough spot mentally because I came with no really real plan. I just wanted to get a job, right? But I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit. But when I finally did that, boom, it's like God gave me a little chocolate and is like, see, you could do it. Believe in yourself. You believed yourself in the music. Believe in yourself now. And once I chewed on that chocolate, I was like, oh no,
You're hooked.
this is it. If I can do this times this days, times this month, times this year, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, okay. And so then that's what it was, just the fact that I sold that much, and really just getting out there because when I saw it's because the juices not only are nutrient dense, but they taste good
They do.
because I've been studying the acidics with the sweets, and also I have a program where I put all my recipes in there, and they all are under 125 calories, under 25 grams of fructose, which is naturally occurring carbs. And so like this is to us like a science project to me, like to a
Yeah.
nutritional science. So like I know they taste good. So like when people got hooked, I was like, oh, I can do something here.
Awesome. And actually, I want to talk more about the actual products themselves that you have here on the table. Like, explain it to us, because I know, to a lot of our viewers or listeners, sometimes when you see these juices like out on the market, some are not really juiced. They are mixed powders in water that they put in bottles and they serve you. Um, And I've tasted both, and I can taste the difference. So that's why I want to know more. Like, what are the juices you have here on the table, and just give us the story of each of the juices.
Okay. I just want to shout out Monstera because this is some really good coffee. This is lavender coffee, and I'm like a herb guy, so it's super good. But so it is right. And again in the business aspect, it's tough because a lot of El Pasoans have not tried real juice.
Hmm.
A lot of juice companies in El Paso have gone out of business. A matter of fact, like all the when I first started, there was like four, and now three of those four have gone out of business
Wow.
or back to Las Cruces, and it's tough, and I understand why. I understand that it's like a whole nother conversation, but it's the reason that it's because we're in the desert. That's the reason, and the overhead is extremely high, but there's ways. But I use a cold press juicer. There's a difference between masticating and cold pressing. A masticator is the ones you buy when they make you buy on I when they made me buy off Instagram when they keep popping up,
Yeah.
and it's the I forgot, but it's like one, and it's like slow juicer, and they say it's cold pressed. That's not cold pressed. I'm sorry if you've bought in those ones from Instagram, but they have different chambers, or the ones on Amazon. Trust me, you're not gonna buy a cold pressed juicer off Amazon. It has to be straight from the manufacturer. But the difference of a cold press between the centrifugal, which a lot of people use, and they say it's cold press, they even sell it to you. They're kind of lying that it's cold press, but cold press means it goes through the tube. The fruits get chopped up, and then you don't use heat or like knives to cut it anymore. You keep the nutrients and the enzymes and everything in the fruit, and they turn on another engine on the machine, and two walls come and they press it hydraulically, and so that's a cold presser. But this is what they don't tell you. Just like anything that you buy, if you really want it to be the best, it's gonna cost a lot. And a cold press juicer machine is nothing that every cold presser is above $2,000 anywhere. And
Wow.
the best one that I trust me, I've used all the juicers, all other juicers, is that the best ones are made in the United States. They're American made, and they're made by Good Nature. They're the ones who created the cold pressing hydraulic machine. Mexico made a kind of like a knockoff one, and now they kind of like stole a little bit, but that's how we make our juice through a cold presser. The best thing about cold pressing is that it actually harnesses and keeps the vitamins, nutrients, enzymes, minerals longer than a normal juice. So I don't know if you've seen a lot of juices that after 3, 4 days they start separating
Yeah.
like water, and then it's because it's not either one made from a cold press juicer, or number two, they're putting water in it, or number three, the fruits that they're buying is probably like bad. And so with us, there's steps and levels, but we always buy the right, like the best, the juiciest fruit. We always buy. We don't put water, preservatives, powders. We don't cut our juice at all. Actually, we've tested our juices as well, and even sent them to New Mexico to even get tested because we want the best product out there. And our juices don't separate until day 6, and that means that that's like a very long shelf life for a juice. Also, our bottles are meant to be used for an HPP processing machine. So now in Sprouts and the bigger chains, you'll buy a juice, and in the bottom it'll say HPP. That means that these bottles are like indestructible, which means I right now don't have that $100,000 machine yet, but our bottles can be frozen without leaching chemicals from the plastic. So people, like, I have a client who buys 100 every 2 months, different recipes, and freezes and then defrosts without worrying if it has chemicals from the plastic, because this is made for an HPP processing machine. Now, like, each juice again has been made to be under 125 calories. So that's a little bit behind the juices. We also use local produce. We actually, at our shop, have created a holistic community where I have our own farmer that makes our fruits and vegetables as much as we can. Like, not the exotic ones like strawberries and pineapples and stuff. Soon, I'll be the scientist to be creating the first pineapple from El Paso. Watch. And but we have him bring the farm fresh produce, and we make it with produce from locals because we know that it's clean. To me, it adds that extra little like oomph to like it feels good, but also it, I feel like you can taste the difference from a fresh
Yeah.
produce, you know?
You can't, because actually I have a tree of oranges, and actually we grow them like this year. It's blooming with a lot of flowers, so hopefully we're gonna get a lot of oranges. Last year we only got like 25 out of the tree. This is the first time they're giving us fruit, but like the taste of the orange when you cut it and then like cut it, like grab it from the tree and then cut it and start eating it. I had never had that taste in my life. It is life changing when you are able to do that. We also grew raspberries,
Hmm.
and we only got like 6 raspberries out of the plant. But again, I tried them, and definitely like it's a different experience when you eat it like that.
Yeah.
And that's something you can see. Like actually, if you follow him on Instagram at Auto Holistics, um, you're gonna be able to see he posts a lot of the pictures where they are at the farm and they're grabbing the fruit or the vegetables that are coming over to the shop to do the juices. And that's pretty amazing that you're able to show that part of the making of the juice.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's been a long time coming. That was the goal is to make our own like fruits and vegetables, and we put that in the juice. And I wanted one day to own like a huge warehouse where you walk in and there's like a huge glass wall and you can see the fruits and vegetables being grown indoors, and you're just like, oh, I want a juice with that and that, and then we make it fresh for you and you have the freshest juice. That's like a dream of mine.
You gotta go to Disney for that. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Epcot did Living with the Land. That's all. That's all it is there. But so now we talked about the business. We talked about the juices. Um, so now going into the markets, right? So I've seen you, and I follow your Instagram, and I see that you're gonna be at this market, you're gonna be at this market, and a lot of customers follow you just to go buy at the market because you're closer to them versus driving all the way to the shop.
Mhm.
So when that happens, what is it that you enjoy the most about going to markets?
Um, so the markets are like an addiction, honestly, because even though I have a shop, I can't stop doing the markets or pop-ups. Um, the best thing um, is that you get to talk to people one on one. And when you get to talk to people one on one, instead of them being on their phone scrolling and being like, oh, I wonder, they can ask you those questions face to face, right? And the best thing too is they get to taste the juice. I don't do taste testings in the shop. So when they're at the markets, they get to taste the juice and they're like, wow, this is different.
Hmm.
Not only that, but my brand is based off community, and without the community, for me at least, we wouldn't be anything. And so it just allows me honestly to meet not just the people that go, but the other vendors as
Hmm.
well. And because of that, I'm able to find collaborators, partners, future um, events, future. I mean, I created a whole vendor community chat because I would get so many uh, people interested in how I was doing it. And I was like, you know what? I don't have money to buy something from you every time, like everybody in the market. But what I can do is put money in your pocket by giving you events, like a lot of events that happen and
Hmm.
pop ups. I'll even reach out to gyms if I know they can get this person to come and pop up. And I just want to help. Again, I think of what I do holistically as a business as well. Like I want to put money in people's pocket, and maybe I don't have the money to buy something all the time, but I have the money. We are all connectors, and so if I could connect you with somebody, that's easier. And because of that, we've grown the vendor chat where people do help each other.
Hmm.
People have events now, and now El Paso's different now because of that. But I just like the connection, the community, and honestly, now I could say this, but I like giving people a little taste of what they can experience at the shop out there.
Yeah.
Like with the pineapple, with everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I show up at a vendor market and I start to get a little nervous, or I don't know where I'm at, or I don't know the people who invited me, I'll pull out my Bluetooth speaker and I'll start playing like house music or like Afro house, jungle house, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I start putting the plants up and everything, the juices, and I create the my own energy in that spot, and people love it, and that's when I was like, this is gonna help create whatever I want in the future.
Amazing. And actually, we one of the things how we started talking was because we were at a market together, and I had started Market CP 915 at that time, and it was more to help the vendor community find venues or different pop up markets. And when I reached out to him, he's like, "Oh, I have one as well." So we kind of like added each other to our own. And actually, he like posted a lot of like the events that you find in our chat that we have for vendors, and the chat that we have is literally just for vendors. And the reason for that is just because we want to build that community and that camaraderie, right? To be able to help each other. And I really appreciate that because that really, I see the work that's been put into that, and it's giving fruits already, right? We have a lot of vendors that are able to find venues because of that,
Right.
and
That's
that's
first
amazing.
step.
It is first step, and it's amazing that community is getting there, right? So, a lot of people have asked me, like, if you watch our Instagram, you're gonna see that we record other markets. It's not just Market CP 915 markets that we post and do. We go do record other markets, and that's because we're not here to just promote our own brand. Market CP is about building the community.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this podcast, right? It's bringing the vendors so that the listeners can feel the vibe. They can feel the passion that we see when we see these vendors, when we
Yeah.
see you all at the market. When you see your stand, that you have all these decorations, that you put all the effort to creating this, the vibe that you were mentioned that you create with your speaker, with your plants, with your how you set up your booth, that passion, that's what I want to get to these people that are listening to us, and how amazing that is that we can actually do that, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that story with us, and ensuring that we can do that now. Based on that, right? So we kind of talked a little bit about the behind the scenes, but if somebody hasn't been to the markets and they're listening to us right
Mhm.
now, how would you describe the vibe at the markets here in El Paso? When you see your stand, that you have all these decorations, that you put all the effort to creating this, the vibe that you were mentioned that you create with your speaker, with your plants, with your how you set up your booth, that passion, that's what I want to get to these people that are listening to us, and how amazing that is that we can actually do that, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that story with us, and ensuring that we can do that now. Based on that, right? So we kind of talked a little bit about the behind the scenes, but if somebody hasn't been to the markets and they're listening to us right
Mhm.
now, how would you describe the vibe at the markets here in El Paso?
So uh, I would say it's it's gonna there's different ways to look at it, but I would say one way that if you're an entrepreneur and you don't know how to start, and or you have a full-time job and you're like, you know what, I want to start my own business, or anything like that, go to a market, because that's going to show you that you don't need to have everything perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be something that you try at a table and that person just started like a day ago, and you're going to create like that belief in them to keep going. And so not only are you going to get inspired, like, man, it's not to say like, oh, like me versus him, and no, it's to say like, you know what, like I've seen little kids put up tables at markets. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen there, and then I'm there, and then the little kid's like, "That's $5," and I'm like, "Oh, you know what? Give me two, And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, is it your like? Is it is it the parents' business?" Like, no, he wants to start a business. We're just here, to like help him. I'm like, you know what? Like, that's awesome, and that used to only be like at Fox Plaza. That used to be only at the Bronco, and all of a sudden, El Paso's now having that everywhere. And now there's themes, and now and then you're looking at in LA, and now my DJ friends in LA are like not drinking and going out, but they're doing yoga on the rooftop with vendors and cold plunges, and I'm like, is it just El Paso or is it everybody? Because there's this wave of collaboration, and I think that happened after COVID, because we all got divided.
Yeah.
And now everybody's like, you know what? There's so much more we can do as humanity. And honestly, it's hit El Paso, thank God, because El Paso has a lot of times where we're like last to get the news, but we're on it now. And I think actually, it just creates a friendly environment, a an environment of like good vibes and belief. And honestly, if you're just ever wanting to see what El Paso has locally, which El Paso's always been a small business, like we support small business a lot.
Hmm.
You got to go to a market because now that's why I'm a little bit like hesitant sometimes to go to markets because man, sometimes I go to the markets and some of these new businesses have like go all out, and I'm
They
like,
do.
damn, like, I gotta invest in like a now like a little like a truck or something with like, and that's good. That's healthy because now you're like now we're creating businesses that are not just mom and pop. Like you see some businesses that are gonna be big one day.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we see on Market CP 915 is that when we're setting up our markets and we bring all these different vendors and you see the progress that they've made in your market. It's amazing how from one market to the next one you already see the change, and this happens because the community shows up to these events and they see the little tents popping up and they stop. We're setting up and we already have people walking by because they want to support local, and that's what El Paso is all about, right? It's that community connection that we make at different venues, different um, you know, just look at how El Paso is growing, not just in population and businesses, but in markets.
Yeah.
There's a lot of markets happening every weekend. There's always a market you can always go visit and shop local and support local, and that's amazing. That we are able to see that, and
Mhm.
like you said, we're not behind like big cities. I mean, I follow markets from LA, from Phoenix, from Orlando, Florida, and I see the markets there. And when I see the videos there and I see the markets we have here in El Paso, there's not a lot of difference.
No.
Maybe in size, of
Yeah.
course, because they have bigger streets probably. But the mightiness of El Pasoans here, going to markets and celebrating markets, it's at another level. And I think we have stepped it up. And El Paso is becoming a trend city in the United States and soon worldwide with BTS concert being here soon. That's going to bring a lot of people to our city, and that'll be a great opportunity for us to showcase what we're made of and the products that we can offer, and how small businesses really support this city, the community, but at the same time, the community supports us
Right.
when we're there. So those are excellent points that you mentioned there, and actually that really helps understand the market vibe here. So now let's move on a little bit more into out of the markets a little bit. So if your business had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh, I mean, being a DJ, it'd probably be like uh, anything from Armin van Helden. Very disco, jungle disco, very fast and very vibrant. Anything from Armin van Helden.
Cool. So we're gonna do this challenge. I'm gonna challenge you to look for that specific song, and then you're gonna post it on your Instagram. You're gonna tag us there, and then to let it and make a comment saying, "Hey, Market CP915, this is the song of my business.
Yeah.
We want to hear it. Like I want to literally close my eyes and hear it and see our holistic being represented in that song." Okay,
Yes.
so that's the challenge right there,
I got you.
and then we'll keep you updated on our future podcasts, and once we have it, we'll post it here as well, so you guys also get to see it. So when you go to markets, coffee, agua fresca, energy drink on market mornings.
Like my ritual. So I do a lot of caffeine. I do, and it could be either natural. Sometimes I do like to do an energy drink here and there. But I also do like heavy mushrooms, lion's mane. No, none of that crazy stuff. But lion's mane, cordyceps. I also put in yerba mate. And then I also do high like pineapple juices and also spirulinas and stuff. So that on top of maybe an energy drink.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's not even just markets. That's like every day, probably.
Well, because every day you gotta go to the shop, right? So
Yeah,
it's like perfect for a market.
yeah.
So, what's the funniest thing a customer or a customer questions that you've been asked at a market?
Um, oh man, I mean, that's actually one of them. Uh, is oh, are they special mushrooms? And I'm like, no, man, I'd probably go to jail if I had that good stuff. But no, just kidding. No, I'm like, no, man, I don't have that. Or and they're like, this, I had some guy ask me, "Es la hierba buena?" And I'm like, nah, man, it's just ashwagandha. Ah, okay, no es lo mismo. And I'm like, no, no, that, and then I think the origin story of how the pineapple came about is probably made me the happiest and the funniest. Like one time, so I've had different mascots when I started. I have a background also in I've sold supplements for Sprouts. I was at the vitamin like department for six
Mhm.
years, and then after that I worked for the companies who would sell vitamins for not just like all the Sprouts but Whole Foods, and so I started doing samples for them, and so I have a lot of experience doing that, and that's why it's a little bit easier for me, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but I always know that for me, going to markets and doing that kind of stuff, promoting is fun and getting not just the. I don't have just one person that buys the juice. I have the whole family. I like to think of the whole family buying the juice, from the grandpa, the grandma, the son, the daughter, the 40-year-old dad. Everybody. The guy who hates fruits and vegetables, the guy who doesn't like this. I love them all. I love them all, and I accept them all. And so, um, for me, I wanted to attract the kids to my table because I want to make it fun. So the first mascot I had was Pepino. I called him Mr. Pepino, and it was even a it wasn't even a cucumber. It was an inflatable. It was an inflatable pickle, but I didn't want to say Mr. Pickle,
Yeah.
And then so it was inflatable, and so the wind took it one time and it popped, and I'm like, he's done. But then I got a pineapple. I got a pineapple because um first of all it looks cool, but then I put sunglasses on it and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And I left it there on the table and I remember this little like from across the market, this little kid was like, "Mama, la piña," but she was yelling at me. He was like, "La piña, mom, la piña, mira," and then the mom was like, "Come on, let's go, like stop talking, like let's go, we gotta go." And then he's like, "No," and she was like dragging the kid, and he's like, "La piña," but he was like laughing, and he's like, la piña," and I was like, oh, that's sick. Like I'm creating that joy by just like bringing my inner child out.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I'm like, the piña's staying with me. And I even had this other guy come up to me and he's like, he was kind of weird to be honest, but he was like, "Hey man," I was like, "What's up?" And he's like, "Cool pineapple," and I'm like, "Thanks." And he's like, "If he rocks with you, I'm with you." And then he just left, and I was like, "That's cool." He's like, "If he's with you, I'm with you." And then I was like, "Okay." So then I made a shirt that says, "I'm with the pineapple," because of that situation.
That's
And it's
cool.
like if you could trust the pineapple, you could trust me.
That's a funny story. Like it's cool, and especially because like you said, it brings the whole family. Right? Like the kids yelling the piña, which is the pineapple in Spanish. But it's amazing to hear those stories and how being at the markets they help you build your own brand, your own identity here as well. So what's been the biggest challenge for you?
The biggest challenge for me, I would think, um, is is hmm. It's weird because challenges kind of mean they're a little fun for me. So I'm gonna probably say it as like what's been the funnest challenge for me is making the going from the market to the business um, aspect, like as far as like a brick and mortar,
Hmm.
because yes, the markets are great. They're fun. And you meet a lot of people. And actually, that's all my clients in El Paso from like the past 2 years have been from markets and everything. But creating the business, um, when you're a creative like me
Mm-hmm.
and on you and everybody else that creates, they'll give you the guidelines, they'll give you how to build the thing, but you're always gonna go off script. And because you go off script, you're gonna go through so many challenges. But you wanted to, it says to do it like this, but you wanted to make it look like this. And because making it look like this is cost more, you're already doing what they said not to do.
Yeah.
And so there's been a lot of challenges because you want to make it your own, but also like no one's gonna like just it's hard to make something that only you see until it becomes something. Like when I would set up at the markets, they're like, "Oh, I like all the plants and the vines and the piña and everything." So now it's like I, I could go deep into it, but pretty much now it's creating the culture at the shop.
Mhm.
And it's cool because you get to see the people that first started with you at the markets now supporting you at the shop. And if you're ever doing a market and you ever wonder, wow, will people when you get to that point where you want to open up a brick and mortar or yeah, a brick and mortar where it doesn't move, it's not mobile, and you wonder, will people come? They will. They will. They're not just trying to be nosy. They will come. They will come and they'll support you. Um, and there's little tips and tricks on how to keep them, like part of your brand. But I would say like that's where I'm at, like learning the the old business way of having a brick and mortar because like being mobile is funner. I'll tell you that. When you own a bit like a brick and mortar, it's a slow smoke. It's
Yeah.
it's all you have like what you can make in 2 days at a market, you have to wait kind of like 3, 4, 5 the whole week, and it's different. It's a different structure, and you have to be okay with that. And that's been the difference on how to balance those. But the best thing is that um, there's a lot of resources out there, and I've been able to connect with them. And yeah, there's a lot of resources out there. And not only on the vendor chat do I post markets and stuff, but I post resources.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the Innovation Hub in El Paso that's owned by Microsoft, and they're always hosting workshops for $10. Anybody could go, and you can learn how to create a product, how to make reels, how to do this, how to do that. And so like there's resources out there. Like I said, you just have to like connect. The only people that can really give you the best advice are the people that have tables at the markets because
Yes.
they know what you're going through.
And like with Disney, everything started with a mouse. Here in some of these businesses, everything started with a market, right?
Right.
So it's like how we can use those tools, like you mentioned. Like for example, like my wife and I, we just went to one of the hubs, and it's a free training actually they offered for Gamba. So you can create all the different posts, and
Yeah.
they give you that, and actually they make you do it there,
Right.
and they give you feedback real time, and they kind of fix it for you, and then you get to see like, oh, okay, so that's where I'm missing there. So it gives you, and those are tools that are free. It was a free workshop that they gave, and like I said, $10 investment for getting knowledge is not a lot, honestly. So thank you for sharing that as well. How do you stay motivated on slow days or slow markets when you go and there's not a lot of people at a market?
I remember that what I do is one person at a time. So even when I like don't say used to when I was DJing full time, there'd be times where there was 4 people, maybe one person. That was the person you invited or went with you to set up the speaker. And
True.
you just have to remember that you're not doing this for anyone else, but your true purpose, yourself. And also, once you are okay with that, you're like, but I can also like provide this to other people. Okay, well then provide it one person at a time. Change one person at a time's life, and you'll see the change that you want. But if you focus on the big number, you will never be satisfied. So focus on that one-on-one connection. And guess who's on one-on-one when you're at the vendor markets? The other vendors. Because I promise you, the other vendors are going to be more supportive sometimes than the people going. And so, because they understand. And so it starts with one person at a time, and it's the person in front of you to the sides. And you might end up buying something of theirs too, and then end up being a good friend of another business owner. And then you now created a little community that now knows what you're going through. Now you can talk to someone, hey, what happens when this happens, or where are you
Hmm.
doing this, where are you doing your taxes, what about this, what about that? And so I I realized that your energy is the show, and every person has that special power in them. Um, and so, like, if there's nobody there, then say hi to your neighbor. Say hi to the person selling, elotes, or say hi to the person selling the same product as you, and be like, hey, what's up? I know you have the same product, but, like, 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 what are you doing? Like,
Hmm.
just start off with the people around you. It's not always, it's great when there's a lot of people and they're buying. Oh yeah, that's awesome, of course. But the best thing is one on one, like one person at a time.
And that's amazing. Or I was just thinking when you were saying all this, right? A lot of vendors, like, especially the ones that are already starting, they usually tend to go to markets, and if there's not a lot of people, a lot of traffic, right? They can't kind of get discouraged, and I've seen it over and over. And one thing that I've learned uh, lately is that a lot of traffic doesn't equal a lot of sales. A lot of times, it has to do
No.
a lot with how you show your product, how you sell your product, how you set up your product, how you talk to people. Because I've walked through many markets, and the vendors are behind with the phone,
No.
and they don't pay attention to the people. And if it's a medium to low traffic, every person walking by your booth, it's an opportunity. And you're letting it just walk by because you're busy on your phone or
Yeah.
doing something else.
I always tell, like, I used to have people help me, and I always tell them, look, like, use your time wisely. You're not gonna go there and start knitting, or you're not gonna go there and start reading a book. If you could do that literally every other day of your life. When
Hmm.
you go there, like, talk to at least 20 people, and just tell them what you do. And if they wanna, the thing is, like, when you're there, use your time wisely, because at the end of the day, if you're really truly trying to build a brand, trying to build your business, then you have 2 hours to do the best job you can. And it's not to sell people, but to introduce yourself to people. And over time, if you keep doing it and stay consistent, people will start supporting.
Amazing. Now I want to take just the time just to acknowledge our sponsors for this podcast. Of course, we have Monstera Cafe. They provided us with this delicious drinks. I have a strawberry lemonade, and of course, he has a custom-made coffee here that Regina made for him before the podcast started. But I also want to acknowledge Never Satisfied 915 for providing the apparel that I'm wearing today for our podcast, and as well as Innovex Engraving. They're the ones that actually did the cool work that you see on their mugs here today. And of course, to Auto Holistic for taking the time of your busy day to being here with us and bringing some of the products so you guys can see it. So going back to our kind of like now winding down from market, what would be one advice you will give to someone thinking about opening a small business and start going to markets?
Don't overthink it. A lot of these markets, some of them are, you have to pay for them. Some of them you have to have your permit and all that type of stuff if you're making, like, edible stuff. Um, you just don't be scared. Don't overthink it. Like I said, when you think about the big numbers, you tend to, oh well, I gotta have this, I gotta have that. It's never about how perfect you're gonna be. You're never gonna be perfect. And as a creator, as, like, I like to think of myself as an abstract creator.
Hmm.
Um, what you what you feel in your gut, your intention, like whatever you feel is giving you that voice, like, do that, do that, do it. And you know what? Create it, and go to a market, and talk to the vendors. Don't talk to the people that are walking around buying. Talk to the vendors. You want like-minded people? Go to the markets, talk to the like-minded vendors, and be like, hey, I want to start my business. This is what I got. What do you think? You think I could come and be, come and vend, or could I sell? And they'll tell you the truth. And honestly, that's how you start. And just like anything, if you feel, oh, no one understands me, I want to start a business, um, and I have no support, go to market and talk to the vendors. And yeah, like support them if you want, but also be like, hey, I'm kind of like hesitant on starting my business, but this is what I got. And they'll tell you their story. And there's a lot of vendors. So there will be a lot of stories, a lot of insights, a lot of angles. And you're going to meet the people who have brick and mortars. You're going to meet the people who just do markets. You're going to meet the people who host the market. And I promise you, you'll never regret it. And you'll go back home with a lot of good advice.
Awesome. And that's a good call out that you make there. And actually, here at Market CP 915, we have people that come to our markets and they're wanting to be vendors, but they have no idea on how, where to start. We actually give them the guidance on what's required to start their market business, right? Because we don't provide all the professional for brick and mortar because we don't have one, but we provide the markets, and that's what we do. And that's how we help a lot of people that come and approach us. So if you're looking for that advice on how to start your market business and how to start into markets, you can contact us through our Instagram at marketsep915. You can also email us at marketsep915@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to meet with you and go over anything that you need or questions that you may have that we can answer for you to help you with that starting. So that's some of the offers that we make here. Again, we're trying to build our community, and what best way of doing it than showing that part. Okay,
I just want to add, like, the door won't open if you don't knock on it.
exactly.
Like, so
Cool, cool. Well, we're getting here to the end of our podcast, and the last question I want to ask you, or a comment, right, is what is it that I haven't asked you that you haven't been able to share with our listeners that you want to make sure it goes out to them so they can listen to it?
I guess definitely come by the shop. Our shop is on 230 North Copia. I've created a shop where it was just me making juices, but now there's a community involved in it. Um, you know, help support always support small business, because without small business, um, you're locked in things that are products that are cut, products that are not really meant to help you, but they say they do. Um, and as far as like the business owners listening to this, you're in a time right now where you can actually find like-minded people that will support you. Um, and if you ever want some advice, come to the shop, DM me on Instagram, which is at arrow_holistics on Instagram. But there's a lot of people that really want to help each other. And honestly, when you open up and want to help others, you get that in return. So I would say, um, just open up your heart, open up your mind, and there's gonna be a lot of possibilities there that are there for you as well.
Awesome, awesome. And before we go, I just want to make sure we want to talk a little bit about some of the products that he has here
Cool.
with us. Like for example, this is Thy Harmony. This is Aura. So this one has some of the delicious pineapple, ginger, and pears fruit in this one. I don't know what's in this one because there's some pictures of fruits here, but can you tell us
Yeah.
what's in this one?
So, just real quick, all of our juices have been made for a client of ours. So we have 130 recipes and counting. All my recipes are made for a client of mine. So I have since 2017, what is that, like 9 years of juice recipes.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them are older, some of them are more newer, but each one does something different. So for example, the ones that we have here, this one we made for a client of mine who had hypothyroidism, and it's called Thigh Harmony. It has spirulina, apples, pear, ginger, pineapple, ashwagandha, kelp, seaweed, aloe, black pepper. So pretty much it helps reduce cortisol, helps you feel serene, gives you good gut health, and then the black peppers for absorption. And a lot of people like drinking it not only for hypothyroidism, but also to reduce the stress. I have a lot of clients who come just to buy it because it helps them feel at ease because it has ashwagandha, which is a very adaptogenic herb that reduces your stress. This one, Aura, is a new one. It's kind of an old recipe. I just decided to add some new ingredients to it. But it was for a client of mine who it was a woman who wanted a beauty juice, and the beauty juice also helps fight free radicals. Free radicals cause inflammation, cancers, a bunch of things. So it aids in beauty, skin, gut health, and it also has. I didn't mention this, but all my juices um, have collaborative products from other producers here. And when I was meeting them, so I've always made juices with mushrooms, sea moss for the years. When I came to El Paso, I was like, there has to be local people who make this. I don't know where, but going to the markets, I met them, and by doing that, I've been able to put their name, um, or their product in the juice. And so not only is this an advertisement for me, but for them as well. And it shows that if you buy this, you're gonna have purple Amara sea moss, and El Paso Mushroom Company mushrooms in a juice with the cold pressed fruits and vegetables, and you can find all three of us at the shop. So it's also like, um, I guess like good for marketing, all
Yeah.
of us, collaborative. But this one is also good for the aloe vera. So we have two gardens and a farm where we grow our herbs, our aloe vera, our nopales, our rainbow chard, and so it has a lot. Like 50% of it is stuff that we grow. This one right here was made for a client who wanted good heart and gut juice. So it has pineapple, mango, good enzymes, avocado, healthy fats, bell pepper is gonna help with metabolism. And a lot of people don't even. A lot of juicers, I'll wait, but none of them are juicing bell pepper right now. It's really tough to juice, but it helps boost metabolism, burn calories, so it's like a weight management vegetable. And there's only one color of bell pepper that does the most, but I won't let the secrets out. Jicama, jicama obviously is really good for you. Cucumber, lime, mint. We use fresh herbs, and then chia seeds, ginseng, and magnesium. Good for recovery and brain power development, everything. Green coffee. This one is one of my favorites. I made it actually for a client who wanted a green juice, but also energy. So we added kale, carrot, spinach, celery, lemon, cucumber, apple, lemon, hazelnut, hemp milk. So it's also vegan. Yerba mate. So it's going to give you that fresh energy, give you antioxidants, and it's also going to be powered by El Paso Mushroom Company, which has a local mushroom farm that grows lion's mane, oysters, cordyceps, and we get them and we juice the mushrooms as well. So it's very high end mushrooms in this one right here. So it's good for like an all around green juice, good for the gut, good for the brain, detoxing. But then we add the mushrooms and it tastes like coffee.
Awesome. So, just a quick question before we go, because I was thinking about it when you were mentioning all this. So, for example, each one is for a specific item or health issue that you want to fix.
Hmm.
Is there a way, like, for example, I can mix this one with this one, or should I just eat like one a day, or how does it work? Like, if you want to work on several things at a time.
So you can actually, yeah, you can definitely mix them. Actually was thinking, me and one of my team members were thinking of doing like I forgot what it's called, but like when two flavors combine, like a Hershey's Reese's,
Mm-hmm.
but with juice. So we do like an Eternal with Harmony, and then the label has both, and it's both recipes in one. In reality, yes, you're targeting different things, especially with those two, with having the nutrient density of both. But also look at juicing as at the big picture. Juicing nourishes the gut. Once you nourish the gut, everything starts aligning, from the brain to the heart to the gut to your blood to your sleep. Everything starts aligning. So the more the vegetables, the more the ingredients, the better for your stomach, the better for your. I do a lot of deficiency therapies. So if you're deficient in something and you start pounding that every day, you start balancing your deficiencies through juice because it gets absorbed way quicker than it does eating it.
So that's a good thing there. But well, Alex, thank you so much for being here with us today Hecho at the market. It was a pleasure having you. Probably gonna have to have a part B of this podcast
Yeah.
where we talk more into detail of the each of the juices because that interests me a lot. I don't know about y'all, but it's very the way you put it is very like it's English that I can understand, right? It's
Yeah.
the I talk to people like my doctor, my primary care physician, and he tells me all this stuff. So I'm like, I don't know what he's saying. Can you say it in English? Like, I need a translator for this.
Yeah.
But the way you showed us and you talked to us about it, it shows the passion you have in your product.
Thank you.
It shows that on the taste, because I've tasted, trust me, I have. Um, and it shows on what you're doing. So thank you for what you're doing for our community. Thank you for what you're doing for our markets and for always being available to us as your peer vendors and your customers. Um, because I think that's the community we're trying to build. And by us partnering as much as we can, we're just helping that grow, right? So thank you again for being here, taking time for your busy day to join us. Really enjoyed this conversation today with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for hosting us, for having us. I believe you guys, it's good to see that you guys are on the same frequency of helping others. Um, because later down the road, when El Paso becomes what it becomes, they're gonna remember who, even if they don't say thank you or anything. I'll be the first one to thank you because I know I see that same heart and passion in you that I know I have in me as well. And so, I'm in this with you as long as you're in this too.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. And thank you all for joining us today. This podcast, again, was meant for all the people out there to understand markets. And if you're willing to start and take that first step, don't be afraid. Just take the step, and we'll see you at a market. Thank you for listening to us. Have a good one.